Hello, and welcome to the April edition of the Landlord Advocate Landlord News. We got a lot of topics to cover this month, so I'm going to kick it right off, and we'll try to get these done as quickly as we can. Probably the most important issue floating around in the landlord world right now is what's going on up in Hartford in terms of the legislative session. We have been very actively involved in quite a number of legislative initiatives, as well as proposed bills and public hearings, and quite a number of different things that are going on up in Hartford. And so what we thought was going to be a very sedate legislative session, because it's a short session this year, has turned out to be nothing but busy. So we've dealt with things like relocation assistance. We've done some bill drafting, amendment drafting for that topic to help protect landlords dealing with relocation assistance issues. There's been a bill that came out regarding changes in employment screening to protect you as employers that ultimately we think could translate into housing issues in terms of screening and screening applicants. We've been working on that, and a whole variety of other things that we've touched on the last several editions, but wanted to keep you abreast of the fact that we're still working hot and heavy up in Hartford on a almost daily basis at this point, trying to keep track of what's happening and make sure that your voices are being represented up in Hartford as the legislature tries to change the laws or make new laws associated with the landlord-tenant world. So if that kind of stuff interests you, by the way, we'd love to have your input, your participation. Reach out. I'm actually the chair of the Government Relations Committee for the Connecticut Apartment Association, and so if it's something that you might be interested in participating in the future, reach out. Let us know. We'd love to have you on that committee and have you participate in that process with us. What else is going on? Judges. We got word that, I think it started last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, that the judge situation in Hartford and New Britain is going to be adjusted. Normally, there's a single judge that sits in both of those courthouses. They have changed that for the time being into the unforeseen future. There will be a separate judge sitting in New Britain and from the one sitting in Hartford. So what you should see in both of those courthouses is some relief on the backlog that you may be experiencing in those courthouses. So if you've seen a slowdown in those particular jurisdictions, you should see that change relatively quickly, and hopefully very dramatically, in terms of the time it takes to actually get your case through the courthouse. So keep an eye out for that. We'd love to hear your feedback if you have a different experience on that as well, so that we can report that to the appropriate administrators on the side of judicial so that they know what's going on. Also, the most senior housing mediator that previously sat in New Haven, but certainly supplies the mediation services and has for many years through the housing courts, is retiring. So congratulations to her, and we wish her the best in her retirement. She has certainly earned it. The downside effect for you as landlords is we're going to be down a housing mediator for the foreseeable future as well. And so while you may be seeing some relief in terms of the timeframes up in Hartford, New Britain, you may see an opposite impact on what's going on in New Haven and further south. I know the judicial branch is working very diligently to reassign mediators to the courthouses based on the size of the docket, so that there's a minimal impact. But just to let you know, you might see that coming down the pipe as well. I think we've mentioned in prior editions of this Landlord Law Firm News, that e-filing was coming. E-filing was officially in place on March 1st. I think we mentioned that in the last video. You should see that pretty much take over all the cases going into the future. There are a few courthouses where it hasn't been implemented yet, but all the housing courts now have the e-filing. And so you're going to see some difference in the documents that you're familiar with, just because they have different requirements as a result of e-filing and the like. But just to let you know, if you see some differences, that's what's going on. And you'll also see, at least as we've seen in the recent past, some growing pains on the conversion to the e-filing system. And so there may be, like I said, some growing pains, some slight delays in getting things moving as per normal. But as everybody becomes more familiar with that process and more familiar with the system, things should get back to normal and ultimately become more expeditious is the intended goal of e-filing, I believe. And then lastly, I know we've mentioned this in a couple of previous editions, but next week, next Wednesday, April 13th, at the Best Western in North Haven, the Connecticut Apartment Association is hosting a fair housing training. That's a half-day event. I'm actually going to be doing the training. Looking forward to it, by the way. But I'll be doing the training, and as of last count yesterday, we have 100 people registered to attend that training. So I don't know what the limit is, but if you are interested in that training, please reach out or log into ctaahq.org. That's ctaahq.org, and you can actually register online for that event. That registration is still open. I suspect it will be closing shortly, just because we will run out of capacity for the crowd. There has already been talk about having a second edition of that based on the response we've got. So if you can't make this one, there may be another one coming, but we'll have to make arrangements with the Connecticut Apartment Association to make that happen. That was the last item that we've got for this April edition of the Landlord Advocate. We hope that the information that we're bringing to you in this series, as well as in our Landlord Advocate series, is very beneficial. We welcome your feedback, and we also welcome you to subscribe. I think we've got a YouTube channel going now where we're saving all this stuff. Subscribe to our videos. I don't even know what that means, but we'd love to have you come back with us every month so that we can try to keep you informed on what's going on in Connecticut around the world of landlord-tenant legal issues. So thanks so much. Again, I'm Robert Chesson with the Landlord Law Firm, and thanks for tuning in to Landlord Law Firm TV. Take care.